Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Tim Harrison from the College of Athens. I teach philosophy, ethics, and apologetics here and a few other things. I love this time of year, but there are two things that aggravate me about spring. One is that these plants keep wanting to get me involved in their dating life that keeps me constantly popping pills for sinus headaches. The other thing is I see all these videos of people who say that Christianity, its origins, is in pagan religion, which is completely false. So let me tell you 4 things to think about when it comes to Easter. One is the origins. The origins of Easter, as we're told by 4 first or second witness accounts of the events, also known as the 4 Gospels, tell us that Easter is based in Judaism and the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Nothing pagan about that. They tell us that Jesus and his disciples had a meal together, which is a part of the Jewish celebration. It tells us about the passion that Jesus goes through on the night before his crucifixion, his death, and then his resurrection. And that's where the origins actually begin. Also remember that the first church, part of the church, was Jewish. Most of the people who were part of the church come from synagogues coming to hear about the Messiah. And one thing we know about the Jews is they know how to celebrate festivals. And they did not allow pagans or pagan worship into what they did. They didn't do child sacrifices. They also did not celebrate Florida Gator football. So they are not pagan in any form or fashion. Also, people seem to be obsessed with Constantine. Constantine gets blamed for everything. And there are people who believe that Constantine set up Easter and put it into the calendar. Now there's some truth to that. Constantine called together a council who was to put together when Easter would be celebrated, because there were many calendars at this time. Some were lunar, some were solar. He wiped all that out. There was a consistency that came about. Had nothing to do with pagan Roman religion. It had to do with trying to find consistency in all the people who were worshiping in the Christian church at that time. Now the other thing that happened quite often with these folks that find pagan origins is they talk about Easter. Now Easter is what in the English-speaking world, which actually comes from the Germanic, this is what we call the time of year that everyone else refers to as the time of Passover, in whatever language they speak. For us, it's a little different. And the odd thing is, the only reference we have to Easter and the possibility of a goddess that it's named after comes from the Venerable Bede, a monk in the Middle Ages in England. He was Anglo-Saxon. He had brought this over from his Germanic roots, and he has a small mention of a goddess, and there is a month named after this goddess. And so what it's describing is not a pagan ritual or anything like that. It's just simply telling what time of the year Easter takes place. It would be the same as if I go to Costco on Fridays to buy chicken, and just because Friday is named after a Norse god doesn't mean that I'm pagan. It simply means I'm a lover of rotisserie chicken. So this is called an association fallacy in logical progression. And so there's no bounding of Easter to any pagan religion. And finally, the thing that really irritates me is about the rabbits and the eggs. I don't know how many times people have tried to convince me that Christianity is drawn into a fertility cult because we celebrate eggs and rabbits. This isn't true. The eggs get involved because during the time of Lent, they could not eat egg. And so what they did is they hard-boiled these things and they put them in the ground and kept them. Remember, the chickens don't celebrate Lent, so they just kept laying eggs. They had to do something with them, and this is the way they preserved them. And then on the day that Lent was over, they digged up the eggs and they had deviled eggs. So the eggs have nothing to do with fertility. The first time we ever heard of anyone decorating eggs was Edward I. You'll remember him. Mel Gibson whipped him pretty bad in Braveheart. He celebrated by decorating these eggs, and then he invited his friends over when they dug them up and ate them. And the poor rabbits, they get a bad rap. Any agrarian from Oglethorpe County, Georgia will tell you that spring is when you see a lot of rabbits. This is when they party, they gather, they have spring break together, and from that there are a lot of baby rabbits that come around. This idea of rabbits comes from the idea that rabbits are seen in spring. And there again is this association fallacy that's going on. So there is no connection whatsoever between pagan religions and Christianity and Easter. None whatsoever. So let me ask you, just go out and celebrate Easter, celebrate the resurrection and the salvation of mankind. And don't go to social media and TikTok for your historical theology. It's great for cat videos. It's terrible for historical theology. Come to the College of Athens if you want to learn about that. Thank you and have a great Easter.